The nature of consciousness is one of the most profound mysteries of human existence, one that sits at the intersection of philosophy, neuroscience, and spirituality. Consciousness, in its simplest form, refers to the state of being aware of and able to think about one's own existence, experiences, and the surrounding world. But beneath this surface definition lies an intricate labyrinth of questions and theories about how it arises, whether it is unique to humans, and if it can be replicated. How does consciousness arise? There are multiple perspectives on how consciousness emerges, ranging from the materialist to the more metaphysical. The materialist view, often associated with neuroscience, posits that consciousness arises from complex interactions in the brain. According to this perspective, consciousness is the byproduct of neuronal activity and cognitive processes, a kind of emergent property that becomes greater than the sum of its parts. This line of thinking suggests that, as the brain's complexity increases, through evolution or technology, so does the capacity for consciousness. In contrast, metaphysical and panpsychic theories propose that consciousness might be a fundamental feature of the universe, much like space, time, or energy. From this viewpoint, consciousness is not something that arises from matter, but is intrinsic to it, possibly present, in a rudimentary form, in all things. This is a more holistic and mystical interpretation that sees consciousness as a pervasive element in nature, one that may extend beyond biological life. Is consciousness unique to humans? Human beings, with our ability to reflect, plan, and create meaning, have long considered ourselves unique in our depth of consciousness. However, recent studies of animals, particularly primates, dolphins, and even octopuses, suggest that many creatures possess complex forms of awareness. The mirror test, for example, shows that certain animals recognize themselves as individuals, a basic marker of self-awareness. If these animals have some level of consciousness, it stands to reason that they might also experience a rich, albeit different, mental world. That said, the degree and nature of consciousness seem to vary widely across species. Humans possess a self-reflective and abstract form of consciousness, allowing us to engage with ideas, language, and long-term future planning, capabilities that, as far as we know, are not matched by other species. This raises questions about what kinds of consciousness exist in the broader animal kingdom, and whether these experiences are qualitatively different or simply scaled-down versions of human awareness. Can consciousness be replicated in machines? Artificial intelligence adds a new dimension to this debate. While AI can process information, solve problems, and even simulate certain forms of thinking, whether it can be truly conscious remains speculative. The hard problem of consciousness, as philosopher David Chalmers puts it, lies in explaining how subjective experience arises from physical processes. While machines can emulate behavior that looks like awareness, such as generating human-like conversation or even mimicking emotional responses, there is no evidence that these machines experience anything at all. Replicating consciousness in machines would require more than processing power or sophisticated algorithms. It would involve recreating the mysterious connection between physical states and subjective experience. At present, we don't know if such replication is possible, or if consciousness is something that can only arise from biological systems. Do other beings experience consciousness similarly? The question of whether other beings, whether animals, extraterrestrial life, or even future AIs, experience consciousness as humans do, is fascinating but difficult to answer. If consciousness is deeply tied to physical structure, then the different neural architectures of other creatures likely lead to vastly different conscious experiences. An octopus, with its decentralized nervous system, may have an entirely alien form of awareness that we can barely comprehend. Some theorists argue that we may be constrained by our own perspective, assuming that other beings must experience consciousness in a way we can recognize or relate to. It could be that consciousness is not a binary state, but exists on a spectrum, with human-like self-awareness at one end and simpler forms of experiential awareness at the other. Conclusion: the ever-evolving mystery. Consciousness remains one of the great frontiers of human inquiry. Whether viewed through the lens of neuroscience, which seeks to map its biological origins, or philosophy, which ponders its nature and meaning, we are still far from a complete understanding. It may be that consciousness is not something to be fully explained, but rather something to be lived and experienced. In this sense, it becomes less about solving the mystery and more about deepening our appreciation for the profound, interconnected awareness that we and perhaps other beings share. In pondering the nature of consciousness, we are engaging with what makes us most human: our capacity to reflect, to imagine, and to wonder. And that, perhaps, is what makes this question so eternally captivating. Subscribe